Commander Alan Frairen stood at the observation deck of Horizon's Edge Research Station, his eyes fixed on the endless darkness beyond the solar system. Something was out there. The sensors had been picking up strange energy readings for days. "Now, Commander, you need to see this." Dr. Samantha Rimiki rushed into the room, her tablet displaying a chart with peaks and valleys of energy signals. Her eyes were wide with excitement. Frairen turned slowly. At 45, he had seen enough combat to know that excitement often led to trouble. "Let me guess. More unexplained readings?" "Not just more," Rimiki said, brushing a strand of brown hair from her face. "They're organized. These aren't random cosmic events. These are signals, Commander." Frairen took the tablet and studied the patterns. His weathered face showed nothing, but inside a familiar tension built up, the kind he used to feel before combat. "Have you informed Earth Command?" "Not yet. I wanted your approval first." Frairen handed back the tablet. "Hold off for now. I want more data before we start a panic." He looked back at the stars. "The last thing we need is politicians and military brass breathing down our necks." "Doctor." Rimiki frowned. "With all due respect, Commander, if these signals indicate intelligent life, we need to prepare. This could be the most important discovery in human history. It could also be nothing," Frairen said. "Remember the pulsar incident last year? Half the scientific community thought we found aliens. Turned out to be a spinning dead star." "This is different," she insisted. "These patterns repeat with variations that suggest language." Lieutenant Patricia Yates entered the observation deck. Her uniform was crisp, her posture rigid. "Commander, we have an object approaching the station. It's not one of ours." The tension in the room changed instantly. Frairen straightened up. "Speed? Direction?" "Slow approach. Directly toward us. It's not trying to hide." "Sound general quarters," Frairen ordered. "But keep weapons powered down. I don't want to start an interstellar incident." Within minutes, the station was on alert. Crew members moved with purpose, securing sections and taking positions. Frairen, Rimiki, and Yates stood in the command center, watching the main screen. As the unknown object grew closer. "What is that?" Yates whispered. The object looked like a cluster of crystals, transparent with hints of blue and purple energy flowing through them. It had no visible engines, yet it moved with clear purpose. "It's beautiful," Dr. Rimiki said, her scientist curiosity overtaking her fear. Dr. William Morris, the station's senior astrophysicist and Rimiki's mentor, joined them. "The structure appears to be silicon-based, but unlike any crystal formation we've recorded, it's also giving off energy readings similar to our signals." "Is it a ship or a probe?" Frairen asked. "Unknown," Morris replied, "but it's slowing down. I think it's preparing to stop near us." Frairen made a quick decision. "Open a channel using standard greeting protocols. Let's see if they respond." The communications officer worked her console. "Broadcasting now, sir." For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the crystal object began to pulse with light. The pattern matched the rhythm of the broadcast. "They're responding," Dr. Rimiki said, her voice barely containing her excitement. "They're mimicking our signal pattern." The crystal structure moved closer, now just a few hundred meters from the station. Its surface began to shift, parts of it expanding and contracting like a living thing. "Can you translate what they're saying?" Frairen asked. Dr. Rimiki shook her head. "Not yet, but they're clearly trying to communicate." A new pattern emerged from the crystal ship. The station's computers began processing it, converting the pulses into data. "I think they're sending us images," Dr. Morris said. "The computer is compiling them now." The main screen flickered, then displayed what appeared to be beings made of the same crystalline material as their ship. They moved in what looked like an atmosphere of swirling gas. "First contact," Dr. Rimiki whispered. "We're actually seeing aliens." Frairen remained cautious. "Can we send images back? Show them what we look like?" "Working on it, sir," the communications officer replied. The station sent images of humans, the station, and symbols representing peace. The response was immediate. The crystal ship pulsed rapidly, and new images appeared on the screen. The alien beings seemed to be examining human images with what could only be described as confusion. They sent back diagrams of human respiratory systems with question marks. Dr. Rimiki studied the images. I think they're confused by how we breathe. Look at these diagrams they're sending of their own respiratory systems. They process gases we would consider trace elements. Oxygen might be completely foreign to them. Or toxic, Dr. Morris added. For most chemical-based life forms, pure oxygen would be poisonous. More exchanges followed. The aliens, now identified as the Valari, seemed increasingly fascinated by human physiology. They sent detailed scans of the station's atmosphere, focusing on the oxygen content. They think we're living in poison, Dr. Rimiki said with amazement. Based on these readings, oxygen would be lethal to them. They can't understand how we survive. Frairen watched the exchanges with growing concern. If oxygen is toxic to them, then they might see us as dangerous. Lieutenant Yates, maintain security. Protocols. Yes, sir, Yates replied, her hand resting near her sidearm. The communications continued for hours. The Valari learned more about humans, while the station's scientists gathered unprecedented data about an alien species. The universal language of mathematics helped bridge some gaps in understanding. Then, without warning, the Valari ship sent a rapid series of pulses. The images on the screen changed to show another ship design, angular, dark, and clearly built for speed and power. The images showed these ships pursuing the Valari. They're warning us, Frairen realized. Someone else is coming. Dr. Rimiki worked quickly to understand the new information. I think they're called the Krato-Dominion. Based on these symbols, they're some kind of military power, and they're tracking the Valari. Frairen's military training kicked in. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less, Dr. Rimiki said, looking up from her data. The Valari are asking for something, but I can't quite understand what. Protection, sanctuary, Frairen suggested. Possibly, but they also seem to be offering something in return. Knowledge, perhaps. Frairen faced a decision that would change humanity's future. Hide the station and deny any contact, potentially leaving the Valari to face their pursuers alone. Or acknowledge the contact and potentially draw attention from a seemingly hostile alien force. We need to inform Earth Command now, he said finally, and prepare the station for possible defensive measures. Dr. Rimiki, continue communications with the Valari. Find out exactly what they need and what this Krato-Dominion wants with them. As the crew rushed to follow orders, Frairen looked back at the crystal ship glowing against the backdrop of space. Humanity had just taken its first step into a much larger universe. There was no going back now. 3 months after first contact with the Valari, Commander Alan Frairen stood uncomfortably in his dress uniform in the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva. The room was filled with politicians, military officials, and scientists, all talking about humanity's new place in the universe. They're treating this like a celebration, Frairen muttered to Dr. Samantha Rimiki, who stood beside him in formal attire. We should be preparing defenses. Dr. Rimiki adjusted her glasses. Or preparing for peaceful exchange. The Valari have shown no hostility. It's not the Valari I'm worried about, Frairen said. It's this Krato-Dominion they warned us about. Director Naomi Rivera of Earth Intelligence approached them. Her sharp eyes missed nothing as she surveyed the room. Commander, Frairen, Dr. Rimiki, the council is ready for your briefing. They followed her into a large circular chamber where representatives from Earth's nations sat in tiered rows. At the front, a screen displayed images of the crystal Valari ship. A gray-haired man stepped forward to meet them. Ambassador Gregory Wells, he introduced himself with a firm handshake. I've been assigned to assist your diplomatic mission. Frairen raised an eyebrow. Diplomatic mission? Yes, Wells said with a practiced smile. The Council has decided to send you and Dr. Rimiki on the research vessel Artemis to meet a Valari diplomatic ship at the edge of our solar system. Us? Frairen asked, clearly surprised. I'm a station commander, not a diplomat. You're the first human to make contact, Director Rivera explained. The Valari specifically requested you. Dr. Rimiki could barely contain her excitement. This is amazing. When do we leave? Tomorrow, Wells replied. The Artemis is being prepared as we speak. Frairen frowned. That's not enough time to prepare. Proper security protocols. General Colin Hayes, a stern-faced military leader, joined their conversation. I agree with Commander Frairen. We should be sending a military escort. The Valari might see that as hostile, Dr. Rimiki argued, or as smart, General Hayes countered. We know nothing about these aliens or their intentions. The debate continued, for hours. In the end, the council decided on a compromise. The Artemis would go alone, but with enhanced defensive capabilities and a small security team. The next day, Frairen, Rimiki, Ambassador Wells, and a crew of scientists and security personnel boarded the Artemis. The sleek research vessel was the most advanced ship Earth had built, though Frairen knew it was probably primitive compared to alien vessels. As they left Earth's orbit, Dr. Rimiki worked in the ship's lab, studying the data they had gathered from the Valari. Ambassador Wells tried to prepare diplomatic protocols, though it was clear he was out of his depth. How do you greet a being made of crystal? He asked Frairen as they shared a meal in the ship's dining area. Should I bow? Offer a handshake. They can't return? Be direct, Frairen advised. They seem to respond better to clear communication than fancy diplomatic talk. 3 days into their journey, as they passed the orbit of Neptune, the ship's sensors detected unusual radiation ahead. It's not dangerous to us, the science officer reported, but it's unlike anything in our database. Frairen ordered the ship to proceed with caution. As they entered the radiation field, their communications with Earth became distorted. We're on our own now, Frairen told the crew. Stay alert. Hours later, they received a transmission. The screen showed a familiar crystal structure, the Valari ship, but something was wrong. The usual flowing energy within the crystals seemed sluggish. A message followed, translated by the ship's computers using the language database they had built. Humans, radiation affects us. Need assistance. They're in trouble, Dr. Rimiki said. This radiation is harmful to them. Frairen made a quick decision. Bring us alongside their vessel. Prepare a boarding team with environmental suits. Ambassador. Wells seemed nervous. Is that wise? We don't know if... They need help. Frairen cut him off. And this is a chance to learn more about them. Dr. Rimiki joined the boarding team. In their environmental suits, they crossed to the Valari ship through a temporary docking tube. Inside, they found an alien environment. Gaseous clouds swirled where humans would expect corridors, and crystal formations grew from every surface. The Valari themselves moved slowly. Their usual brilliant glow dimmed. One approached Dr. Rimiki, its crystalline form pulsing weakly. Through their translation devices, the Valari explained that the radiation field was unexpected. It disrupted their energy flows. To humans, the radiation was a minor inconvenience, but to the crystal aliens it was debilitating. Why are you so resistant? The Valari asked. Your biology should be fragile. Dr. Rimiki realized something remarkable. It's because our planet bombards us with radiation daily. Our star, our atmosphere, we evolved with constant radiation exposure. Our cells have developed repair mechanisms. The Valari seemed amazed by this information. Most life forms would perish under such conditions. While Dr. Rimiki helped the Valari scientists understand human radiation resistance, Frairen received a troubling alert from the Artemis. Commander, his communications officer reported, we've detected another ship entering the area. It doesn't match Valari design. Frairen's instincts flared. The Krato. He ordered the boarding team back to the Artemis and advised the Valari to prepare for possible confrontation. As the unknown ship approached, its design became clear, angular, dark, and clearly built for speed and power, just as the Valari had warned. A transmission came through, displaying a humanoid figure with gray skin, ridged features, and eyes that seemed to calculate everything. I am Caxanor of the Krato Dominion, the figure announced. You have entered a sector under our observation. Identify yourselves. Ambassador Wells stepped forward, launching into a prepared greeting about peaceful intentions and cultural exchange. The Kryto representative stared blankly, clearly confused by the diplomatic language. Frairen gently moved Wells aside. "I am Commander Alan Frairen of Earth. We are meeting with the Valari for scientific and diplomatic exchange. Our intentions are peaceful, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The direct approach seemed to work better. Caxanor nodded. "Your species is unknown to us, though we have observed your world from a distance. You show unusual traits." "Such as?" Frairen asked. "You entered the radiation field without concern. Our scans show minimal protective shielding on your vessel, yet your biological functions remain unaffected." Dr. Rimiki stepped forward. "Humans evolved under constant radiation from our sun. We've developed natural resistance." This information clearly interested Caxanor. "Interesting. Perhaps we have underestimated your species' potential." As the conversation continued, Frairen realized that both alien species were surprised by human capabilities. What seemed ordinary to humans, breathing oxygen, resisting moderate radiation, were extraordinary traits to these advanced civilizations. When the meeting ended, Caxanor left them with a warning. "Other species will take interest in your unusual biology. Not all will be as diplomatic as the Kryto Dominion." As the Kryto ship departed, Frairen turned to Dr. Rimiki. "I think we just learned where humanity stands in the galaxy." "Yes," she agreed. "Somewhere between fascinating curiosity and potential threat." Ambassador Wells looked shaken. "They've been watching Earth for decades. Who knows what else is out?" "They're studying us?" Frairen looked at the stars surrounding them. "We need to prepare Earth. This is just the beginning." 6 months had passed since the meeting with the Kryto. The red dust of Mars swirled outside the window of the colony's main command center. Commander Alan Frairen watched as workers in environment suits repaired another section of damaged equipment. It was the third failure this week. "Any explanation yet?" Frairen asked Dr. Vincent Nguyen, who was examining data on a tablet. The weapons developer shook his head. "Nothing that makes sense. The systems just stop working. No physical damage, no software errors, they just die." Dr. Samantha Rimiki entered the room, her face showing concern. "I think I found something," she said, placing a sample container on the table. Inside was what looked like glittering dust. "What am I looking at?" Frairen asked. "Life," Rimiki answered. "Microscopic organisms, not from Earth or Mars, they're feeding on our electrical systems." Frairen's expression darkened. "Alien?" "Yes. And I think they came with the last supply ship from Earth. Since first contact, Earth had been busy preparing defenses while establishing relationships with both the Valari and the Kryto. Ships had been upgraded with technology based on what they had learned. People like Dr. Nguyen worked to adapt alien concepts into human weapons. "Could this be an attack?" Captain Eliza Jordan asked. She commanded Earth's first upgraded defense vessel, currently in orbit around Mars. "I don't think so," Dr. Rimiki replied. "These organisms seem primitive, more like space bacteria that feed on energy. They probably hitched a ride accidentally." Frairen's communicator beeped. "Commander, a Kryto vessel has entered Mars orbit and is requesting permission to dock. They say they're here to offer assistance." Frairen and Captain Jordan exchanged glances. "Allow them to dock," Frairen ordered, "but maintain security protocols." Hours later, Frairen greeted Caxanor in the colony's meeting room. The Kryto commander was accompanied by 2 officers, all wearing what appeared to be environmental suits modified for human atmosphere. "Commander Frairen," Caxanor said with a formal nod, "we detected unusual energy patterns in your colony. Similar patterns have affected other species' outposts. We offer our experience." "You know what these organisms are?" Dr. Rimiki asked. "Yes, energivores. They exist in deep space, feeding on cosmic radiation. Sometimes they attach to ships, spreading to new systems." Senator Benjamin Ortiz, the political representative from Earth, listened with obvious distrust. "How convenient that you appear just as we have this problem." Kaxnor's expression remained neutral. We have been observing your system for some time. This is merely a gesture of potential alliance. Frairen intervened before tensions could rise. We appreciate the offer, Kaxnor. Perhaps we could demonstrate our training exercises while you're here. Show how our species handles crisis situations. The true purpose wasn't lost on anyone. The Credo wanted to evaluate human military capabilities, and Frairen wanted to show just enough strength to earn respect without revealing everything. The next day, human and Credo teams ran joint exercises in the Mars desert. What started as a display of technology became a test of endurance. The exercises ran for 12 hours straight. Human troops showed signs of fatigue but remained functional. The Credo, however, needed regular rest periods. Your species requires little recovery time, Kaxnor observed during one break. Most sentient beings need significantly more rest between exertions. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, Dr. Rimiki explained. We can keep going long after other animals need to rest. Kaxnor studied the human troops with new interest. This trait alone makes your species valuable in combat situations. The demonstration was interrupted by an emergency alert. The energy-feeding organisms had spread to critical life support systems. We have hours before the backup systems fail too, Captain Jordan reported. Can't you just replace the affected components? Senator Ortiz asked. Not fast enough, Dr. Nguyen explained, and not with the number of replacement parts we have. What about burning them out with a power surge? Frairen suggested. Too risky, Dr. Rimiki said. It might spread them further. Kaxnor stepped forward. We have faced this before. The solution is to create an energy vacuum. Shut down all power in the affected areas. The organisms will enter dormancy without food. But that would shut down life support in half the colony, Captain Jordan warned. For how long? Frairen asked. Minimum 6 hours, Kaxnor replied. Frairen made a quick calculation. The temperature will drop below freezing. Oxygen systems will stop. Your people cannot survive this? Kaxnor asked, clearly surprised. We can, Frairen said. It won't be comfortable, but we can manage it. The plan moved forward quickly. Non-essential personnel evacuated to unaffected areas. The remaining team prepared for the power shutdown. Our suits have 4 hours of oxygen, Dr. Rimiki noted as they checked their gear. We'll need to conserve after that. The moment they shut down the power, the temperature began to drop. The Credo observers watched in what appeared to be amazement as the human team methodically worked in the increasingly harsh conditions. 3 hours in, the temperature hit freezing. Visibility was poor as their breath frosted in the cold air. At hour 5, oxygen supplies ran low. The humans switched to minimal exertion protocols, taking shallow breaths. Your people should show more distress, Kaxnor commented to Frairen as they checked the dormant organisms. These conditions would be lethal to most species we know. Humans evolved on a planet with wildly varying conditions, Frairen explained. His voice slightly strained from the thin air. Our ancestors survived ice ages with primitive technology. By hour 6, the organisms had entered complete dormancy as predicted. The Credo provided containers that would safely hold them for study. Power was gradually restored to the affected sections. As systems came back online, Dr. Rimiki noticed the Credo officers speaking urgently among themselves. Their translator devices were turned off, but their body language suggested concern. Later, as the Credo prepared to return to their ship, Kaxnor approached Frairen privately. I must warn you, Commander. Reports of human capabilities are spreading among the galactic species. Your abilities to process oxygen, resist radiation, and now, your endurance and environmental adaptability, these traits are causing concern. Concern? Why? Many species will see humans as potential threats. Your adaptability makes you unpredictable. In galactic politics, unpredictable species are feared. Frairen considered this new information. Are the Credo among those who fear us? Kaxnor's expression was unreadable. The Credo Dominion prefers to make powerful allies rather than powerful enemies. Others may not share this perspective. As the Credo ship departed, Frairen and Dr. Rimiki stood in the observation room. What do you think that was really about? Rimiki asked. Assessment, Frairen replied. They wanted to see what we're capable of under pressure, and I think we surprised them. Is that good or bad? Frairen watched the Kratos ship disappear into the Martian sky. I'm not sure yet, but I know one thing. Humanity isn't just joining the galactic community. We're changing it by existing. Commander Alan Frairen had never seen anything like the space station Convergence. It hung in the darkness of neutral space, a massive structure shaped like a wheel with spokes extending to a central hub. Ships of various designs docked at different points along its rim. It was the first human venture beyond the solar system, and Earth's delegation was here only as observers. It's incredible, Dr. Samantha Rimiki said, as they looked out the viewport of their transport ship. 24 different species in one place. 24 different species with their own agendas, Frairen reminded her. His role as diplomat still felt uncomfortable, but after the Mars incident, Earth leadership had insisted he continue representing human security interests. Ambassador Gregory Wells adjusted his formal attire nervously. Remember the protocols. We're here to observe and learn, not to make waves. The Earth delegation docked at their assigned port. As the airlock opened, they were greeted by a Valari representative. Solak's crystalline form shimmered with blue and purple energy. Welcome, humans. Solak's translated voice came through their communication devices. Many species are eager to meet you, some more than others. The cryptic warning wasn't lost on Frairen. He nodded to Major Frank Daniels, his security officer, who remained alert as they entered the station. The gravity on Convergence was lighter than Earth standard. Frairen and his team found themselves taking careful steps to avoid bouncing. Other species moved with different gaits, some floating, others gliding or walking with multiple limbs. Most species evolved on worlds with less gravity than Earth, Dr. Rimiki explained quietly. Our muscle density and skeletal structure are unusual by galactic standards. They were led to the central hub where representatives from various planets gathered in what resembled a massive council chamber. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions turned to watch the humans enter. A tall, insect-like being approached them. I am Counselor Elix, it introduced itself through a translation device. Representative of the Moradin Collective. Your presence here is unexpected. We are honored to be invited, Ambassador Wells replied with practiced diplomacy. Honored? Elix's mandibles clicked. Is that the human emotion? I would think cautious more appropriate. Your species has attracted much attention in a short time. Before Wells could respond, a familiar figure approached, Caxnor of the Kratos Dominion. Commander Frairen, Caxnor greeted him. Your species continues to surprise. Few make the journey from first contact to council observation in less than 2 standard cycles. We learn quickly, Frairen replied. Supreme Commander Drav, the highest-ranking Kratos present, joined them. Unlike Caxnor, who appeared merely curious about humans, Drav's calculating gaze suggested he saw strategic value in human capabilities. The council session begins soon, Drav stated. Many will speak of the human question. Human question? Dr. Rimiki asked. Whether your species should be allowed fuller participation in galactic affairs, Solak explained. Some see great potential in humans. Others see threat. The council chamber filled as representatives took their positions. Humans were directed to an observation area. The proceedings began with discussions of trade routes, resource management, and disputed territories, all translated through their devices. Then attention turned to Earth. We must address the emergence of humanity, Counselor Elix stated. A species with highly unusual traits. Images appeared on large displays around the chamber. Human physiology, Earth's environment, records of human endurance during the Mars incident. These beings process oxygen, a corrosive gas, as their primary respiration. They withstand radiation levels harmful to most sentient life. They require minimal rest compared to galactic standards. Their muscle density and skeletal structure suggest they evolved on a high-gravity world. Murmurs spread through the assembly. These traits alone would be concerning, Elix continued, but most troubling is their adaptability. Humans can function in environments lethal to most species. They are, by definition, evolutionary aberrations. Dr. Rimiki tensed beside Frairen. "They're painting us as monsters," she whispered. "They're afraid," Frairen replied quietly. "Fear makes people stupid regardless of species." Zolak spoke next. "The Valari support human inclusion and galactic exchange. Their unique biology offers valuable research opportunities." Supreme Commander Drav added, "The Crado Dominion has observed human military capability. They show potential as allies." The debate grew heated. Some species argued for restricting human expansion beyond their solar system. Others saw benefits in controlled interaction. Frairen leaned toward Dr. Rimiki. "Notice how they talk about us like we're not here?" She nodded. "Like we're specimens instead of people." Their conversation was interrupted by a violent shudder that ran through the station. Alarms blared as the lights flickered. "Station has suffered damage in Section 12, an automated voice announced. "Life support compromised in Sectors 12 through 15. Panic erupted in the council chamber. Various species rushed toward exits. Major Daniels received information through his communication device. "Commander, there's been an explosion near the environmental controls. Appears deliberate." Frairen didn't hesitate. "Ambassador Wells, stay here with the delegation. Dr. Rimiki, come with me and Major Daniels." They rushed through corridors now filling with emergency lighting. Station personnel distributed breathing apparatus to species requiring specific atmospheric conditions. "We don't need those yet," Frairen told a station worker who offered them masks. "Human lungs can handle lower oxygen levels temporarily." They reached Section 11, where emergency barriers prevented them from going further. Beyond the transparent barrier, they could see several alien beings trapped in Section 12, where the air was visibly thinning as life support failed. "We need to get them out," Frairen said. "The atmosphere is already below safe levels for most species," the station's security officer argued. "And dropping fast." Frairen looked at Major Daniels. "Can we handle it?" Daniels checked his equipment. 10 minutes max without supplemental oxygen, sir. Environmental suits would be better." "No time," Frairen decided. "Dr. Rimiki, stay here and help coordinate medical response for the injured." "I'm coming with you," she insisted. "I can identify which species need immediate evacuation based on respiratory requirements." Before anyone could stop them, the 3 humans overrode the emergency barrier and entered the damaged section. The air was thin and growing colder. They moved quickly, locating trapped aliens and helping them toward safety. "These first," Dr. Rimiki indicated several small amphibian-like beings. "Their respiratory systems are shutting down already." As they worked, Counselor Elix appeared with several Moradin assistants all wearing full environmental suits. They stopped, clearly shocked to see humans functioning in the deteriorating conditions without protection. "You should be incapacitated," Elix stated, surprise evident even through the translation. "We're built differently," Frairen replied simply, as he carried an injured alien past them. For 20 minutes they worked in conditions that grew increasingly dangerous. By the time they evacuated the last group, station engineers had begun repairs to the life support systems. In the aftermath, as medical teams treated the injured, Frairen noticed a change in how other species regarded the humans. There was still fear, but now mixed with something else, respect, perhaps even awe. Caxnor approached them in the recovery area. "That display will change many minds about humans," he said, "though perhaps not all in ways you would prefer." "Meaning?" Frairen asked. "Some will see your actions as heroic. Others will see confirmation that humans are dangerously resilient and unpredictable." Dr. Rimiki frowned. "We just saved lives." "Yes," Caxnor agreed, "and demonstrated that humans can function in environments lethal to most council species, without preparation or protection. That makes you either valuable allies or terrible enemies. There is no middle ground in galactic politics." 1 year after first contact, Earth had changed. New buildings rose in major cities designed with alien visitors in mind. Space stations expanded to accommodate increased traffic. The United Earth government had formed a new branch dedicated to interstellar relations. Commander Alan Frairen stood at the window of his office in the newly constructed Interstellar Defense Headquarters in Geneva. Behind him, Admiral Laura Sutton studied reports on a tablet. "The first fleet will be ready next month," she informed him. 6 ships with the new drive systems. Frairen nodded. Earth's first true interstellar vessels, capable of reaching nearby star systems in weeks rather than generations. Technology, adapted from both Valari and Kratos designs. "Have you selected captains?" he asked. "Yes, all experienced space commanders, but they'll need guidance on first contact protocols." "Dr. Rimiki is preparing training programs," Frairen said. "She has unique experience in that area." As if summoned by her name, Dr. Samantha Rimiki entered the office. Her position as head of xenobiology research had given her access to data from dozens of alien species. "You need to see this," she said, her expression serious as she placed her tablet on Frairen's desk. The screen showed genetic sequences, human DNA compared with samples from various alien species. "What am I looking at?" Frairen asked. "Genetic diversity patterns," Rimiki explained. "I've been comparing human DNA with samples from 20 other species. Humans have significantly more genetic diversity than any other species we've encountered." "Admiral, Sutton frowned. "Is that good or bad?" "Neither, just unusual," Rimiki said. "Most species show what geneticists call bottlenecks, periods where their population decreased dramatically, reducing genetic diversity. Humans have these too, but less severely." "What does it mean?" Frairen asked. "It means we're unusually adaptable at the genetic level. It might explain why we developed so many traits other species consider extraordinary." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. Director Naomi Rivera needed to see them immediately. In the secure conference room below the building, they found Director Rivera with Zolak, the Valari representative who had become a regular visitor to Earth. "We've received strange signals," Director Rivera said without preamble. "A probe entered the solar system 3 hours ago." "Valari? Kratos?" Frairen asked. "Neither." Zolak's crystalline form pulsed with concern. "The design is unknown to current galactic records." The main screen displayed an object unlike any ship they had seen. It was neither crystalline like Valari vessels, nor angular like Kratos ships. Instead, it seemed almost organic in design, with flowing lines and surfaces that appeared to shift subtly. "It's transmitting a message," Director Rivera said. "But here's the strange part. It's using ancient human languages." "What?" Frairen and Rimiki said in unison. The screen changed to show symbols. Some looked like early hieroglyphics, others resembled cuneiform or ancient Greek. "Our linguists identified elements of Sumerian, ancient Egyptian, Sanskrit, and early Chinese," Rivera explained. "Languages from Earth's distant past." "That's impossible," Admiral Sutton stated flatly. "No alien should know Earth languages from thousands of years ago unless they visited Earth in ancient times," Frairen finished the thought. Zolak moved closer to the screen, studying the symbols. "There are stories among the eldest Valari," the crystal being said slowly. "Tales of those who came before, the precursors." "Precursors?" Rimiki asked. "An ancient species said to have seeded life across the galaxy long ago. Most consider them myths, but some believe they left behind technologies and outposts." "This probe is changing course," an analyst reported. "It's heading out of the system." Frairen made a quick decision. "Admiral, ready the most advanced ship we have. We need to follow that probe." 2 days later, Frairen, Rimiki, Zolak, and a small crew of specialists departed Earth aboard a prototype vessel. They followed the probe's energy signature beyond the solar system into interstellar space. "It's slowing down," the navigation officer reported after a week of pursuit. Ahead of them appeared what at first looked like a small moon or asteroid. As they drew closer, they saw it was an artificial structure, ancient but clearly designed. Parts of it resembled architecture from Earth's oldest civilizations, yet with technology far beyond anything humans had achieved. It's a station or outpost, Rimiki said in awe. And those markings, they're similar to early human writing systems. They docked with caution. Scans showed the structure had a breathable atmosphere, though it had clearly been abandoned for millennia. Inside they found chambers filled with records, not electronic, but inscribed on materials that had withstood the passage of time. Dr. Rimiki worked with Zolak to decipher what they could. "This is incredible," she said after hours of study. "These records suggest the precursors visited Earth multiple times in our ancient past." "Why?" Frairen asked. "Because humans are their descendants," Zolak answered, crystal form pulsing rapidly, with excitement. Or at least one branch of their descendants. According to the records, the precursors had seeded life on many worlds, but Earth was special, an experiment in accelerated evolution. They had visited periodically, sometimes, influencing human development, before disappearing from the galaxy. That would explain our unusual traits, Rimiki reasoned. We weren't left behind or overlooked by galactic civilization. We were isolated deliberately, allowed to develop separately. But why? Admiral Sutton asked. Why isolate humans? Frairen studied a large circular map showing star systems. Strategic thinking, he said. They were preparing for something, creating a species with unique abilities, then letting us develop on our own, away from the influence of galactic culture. As they explored further, they found a sealed chamber. When they finally opened it, they discovered a message, not in ancient languages but in modern English. "We have watched and waited," the message began. "You have developed as we hoped, adaptable, resilient, questioning. The traits that make you unique in the galaxy were cultivated for a purpose. There are threats in the dark between stars that the current galactic species cannot face. When you read this, know that you are not alone. There are others like you, isolated worlds with unique evolution paths, waiting to be found. Together, you represent the next phase of our legacy." The message ended with coordinates to other worlds. "This changes everything," Frairen said quietly. "We need to report this to Earth," Admiral Sutton insisted. "And then what?" Dr. Rimiki asked. "Tell humanity we're part of some ancient alien experiment? That we were engineered to be different?" Zolak moved to the center of the chamber. "My people have stories of the precursors as benevolent guardians who disappeared fighting a great darkness. If humans are indeed their descendants, it would explain why some species fear you while others seek alliance." Frairen looked at the star map and the marked coordinates. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Whatever the precursors intended for humanity, we now have choices to make. Do we explore these other worlds? Do we tell Earth everything we've found? And most importantly, are we ready for whatever role the precursors planned for us?" Dr. Rimiki stood beside him, looking at the ancient yet advanced technology around them. "One thing's certain," she said. "Humanity isn't what we thought we were, and the universe is far stranger and more connected than we ever imagined."